Hey guys, so this is here bringing you another video. Welcome back to Challenger Spectate. So today we are watching a Z jungle. And this is this is a very high rank game. So I think this player is in like top 5-10 Challenger EU West. Skewmond on the enemy team is like top 3 Challenger on EU West, and they're against each other. Because that is one thing I will say. Challenger players, they play against each other quite a lot, but when it comes to like the top 5 Challenger players, for them to actively play against each other is actually a little bit rarer, because it's the time of day that you may play. You know, if there's multiple games of Challenger to get into the same match, they don't play against each other all the time. And I think, you know, if let's say you're a rank 3 Challenger player and you've never been officially rank 1 before, and if you know rank 1 and rank 2 are actively in queue, you may look at op.gg when they're in game, to maybe avoid them, or even some may even try to specifically get into game with a higher rank player in Challenger, because if you beat them, it's a double effective way to catch up in rank. Because if you beat them, they lose rank, you gain rank. So instead of it, you know, if you're both winning, you're both going up at the same rate. So sometimes, I guess you'd have to play against each other to climb. So a very aggressive wards by the enemy team. Obviously a bit of a cheese pick in mid. And this, by the way, just to make it very clear, this is Challenger EU West. This is the highest pinnacle of solo queue in the game. What you just saw that Garen do, you would probably say is trolling. Look, this player is not playing for mid lane at all. They are running around chasing a jungler. Unfortunately, it's just the way of League of Legends nowadays. There is actually not a lot of punishment for something like Garen that is just giga basic. They are still, unfortunately, way too strong. So he flashes, he wimps out in the end. So he's now used double sums, but he has affected the Zed really negatively. So what will be interesting to see is, will this Zed, who has had a terrible start now because of the Garen, end up having a bad game? Can he recover it? And obviously Zed is a decent jungler, but I don't know if he's like the absolute top tier, but I think he's situationally very top tier. Obviously assassins, we're not in an assassin meta right now, but assassins can do well situationally. And I think this is, again, we all give Riot a very hard time, but I think it is a good meta. You can see Vision is crossing, so Diana is going for an invade. There's not much Zed can do. So it would be very nice if the Nautilus and Swain can actually head on over there and collapse on the Diana, and that looks maybe what's going on. Because otherwise the Zed is being kind of just screwed. So I think she's here. You can see obviously here, and there's the ward. Zed, I think, actually got that smite. I think. Yeah, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. But hilarious. Look at this. So because everyone is knowing this is what is going on, it's just the way of League. It's just hyper aggressive invade meta. The enemy bot lane walked in to the lane to help the jungle invade. And again, this is all stemmed from the Garen level 1 doing kind of a weird trolley play. It's bizarre. It's very weird. And now it's basically a Mexican showdown of who's going to get this. So the enemy team was patient. Scuttlecrab obviously naturally walks up and down, and it naturally started walking away. So realistically, red team should... Oh, look how much patience there is here, by the way. This is insane. No jungler has smite. Smite is available for Zed. Diana hadn't had smite at that time because she smited the wolf. This is bizarre. This is a Challenger game. This is quite similar to a game I've just had in Master. Yeah, so again, what I would like to say is sometimes I like making these Challenger spectates because I do think, I hope at least, it makes people feel better. So Diana is still here. Nautilus is dead. Like, again, the actual play of this game is very low. Like, it's very low in terms of what's going on, but just to make it very clear, it looks bad, and this is, I think, sometimes the trick that people don't realize. It looks terrible, and it you know, from the outside it is terrible. You have to remember these are Challenger players versus Challenger players. Basically, when you have players of equal skill on both teams, it negates a lot of the kind of inconsistency that's going on. And this is where someone watching, and it has happened, you know, as a content creator for a very long time, when I'm uploading games in either High Diamond or, you know, recently we've been Master for a long time now, you get it in the comments of people going, oh, I'm Silver and I would do fine in this match. They wouldn't. That's the point. Is from the outside, it looks dumb. It looks low quality, but it's Challenger players versus Challenger players. In my games, it's Master players versus Master players. That can make it kind of seem a lot worse than it is. If you threw a silver player in a game here, if you threw a gold player, platinum player in this type of game, they would go 0 and 20. It just looks not that good. Because basically the skill is being counted by each other because they're both of roughly equal skill. And obviously, things like a Garen running into the jungle at level 1, that's just a Garen. That to me, that's just a Garen player in a nutshell. If he's a Garen main in Challenger, it wouldn't surprise me. That type of thing is what Garens do, because he's a very forgiving champion. He doesn't have to have every bit of farm in the world that, say, like a Sion does. He can get by kind of having a bad early. Now, the negative of his bad early is it's not the worst for a Garen, but it's benefited the Rise. The Rise is 20 farm up. So that's actually the bigger thing of the Garen doing the bad level 1. And, you know, yes, it's given a small lead to Diana, but actually not as big as they probably were expecting. Now, one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on the air conditioning, and part of it as an experiment, I recently did a setting that hopefully will mean I can have air conditioning on while recording, and you might be able to tell a little bit, but it's apparently a lot better than what it has been. And when I turn on the air conditioning, and I already can tell it, weirdly, when I turn it on, it's on high setting straight away. So you might hear it a bit more now, but when it's on low setting, the Twitch chat was like, you literally can't hear it anymore. So let me know what you think. That's on high setting. Obviously, I can have it on low, but I can't change the speed weirdly on the remote. I'm going to turn it back off. I just wanted to see what you guys thought. Gank is happening again, though. But it's kind of funny that both junglers are in the same kind of place at the same time. Now, again, the negative... this is a bit messy. The negative, if you will, of having a Swain bot lane, his urgency in the early game doesn't exist. So he, at the very least, minimum needs level 6. When he gets level 6, it does transform the champion. You know, it suddenly turns him into a very useful champion. But yeah. One thing to note, some people may already be asking very close in top lane. Everyone might be going, why the hell is this Zed opening with Smite? And I can guarantee there's probably already people going, isn't that a wrong thing? Normally, yeah. Normally for a jungler, that would be a semi-mistake. And yes, it is still risky because you're opening yourself up to a potential Smite steal if the Diana was randomly nearby. Why Zed does it is all about his passive. So Zed's passive is whenever Zed attacks an enemy below 50% health, he deals additional percentage health magic damage. So that's why. He just wants to smite it, get it close to that 50% straight away, and then you'll be actually clearing it much quicker. So for Zed, it's actually kind of, you know, smite early, get it to low, and then the DPS increase happens. So it would actually, for a Zed, means he'll clear quicker. Yes, it's a bit riskier, but yeah, it does help. The level 6 has been hit by both junglers. Pickaxe, though, by Zed is obviously a very big first item. Grubbies have spawned. And I'll be honest, blue team, if I had to actually guess, blue team will be more desperate for grubbies than red. Camille is a decent split pusher, but it's not like her absolute identity. She can group, she can team fight, she's really good at getting picks. Lulu already in the area, Nautilus is on his way. Garen doing Garen things. I would say the reason why I would say blue team will be more desperate for it is because they have a Garen. Garen suck in high rating. Like, the only thing that gets him by is by being a kind of broken stat stick champion. And a lot of the time, a broken stat stick champion like a Garen, they know they're useless as the game goes on when it comes to grouping. They're too basic, they're too one-dimensional to realistically achieve anything, especially in very high rating. But what can he do? Constantly side lane. Just constantly. If I was the Zed, I potentially would have looked for one to steal, but you can see the Garen is just hovering because what else has he got to do? Zed maybe looking for the Cassante, doesn't get it though. Yeah. Fiesta of a game already. So again, I said I was hinting at it earlier. I like sometimes doing these challenger spectates because for me it highlights it's a solo queue thing. The fact that these games look absolutely fiesta-y, I would hope makes people go, oh, it's not just my games. No, it's not. It's solo queue. Look, Zed, by the way, has just survived perfect shadow play, running away. Rise obviously came in a little bit late. Diana's hovering to see what they can do. But overall, pretty good. Crazy. But yeah, enemy team did end up getting, obviously, all of the scuttle crabs. So that is advantage for them. But Garen is still not doing well. Rise is absolutely popping off. And Zed, even though he's had a pretty rough early of being invaded by the Garen and then being invaded by the Diana and the enemy bot lane and taking camps away, the Zed's doing fine. In actual farming, he's now even in farm. He has completed his first item Eclipse. And this does I show like he's got involved in 1 kill, 1 assist, more than Diana. And you know, luckily for a champion like Zed, Eclipse is a very affordable first item that's also incredibly powerful. Obviously, it depends what type of champion you play. Not every champion gets to buy a very powerful, cheaper first item. But assassins tend to get a cheaper, powerful item initially, because that's the whole class, and it's what Riot has always said about assassins, is they are situationally strong, but they are always useless and always weak if they have a bad early. So Riot does give them usually a bit of a kind of strength leeway, and this is a nice pick hopefully on the Lulu, does get the kill in the end. They do give them a little bit of a strength leeway of going, right, we're going to make your initial item quite cheap because we know you're going to struggle as the game goes on. So all-in coming happen here. Nautilus going for a nice flash play. Does get the ignite kill in the end. So this is the invading that you all go in together at the same time. And that's very, very nice. And you can see Rise was there. And lo and behold, like I was saying earlier, what's the Garen going to do? Garen didn't get involved. Garen just stayed mid and just hit towers. So hilariously, you know, we all kind of make jokes here and there about Garens and basic champs. But the stereotypes are true. Garens don't look for, you know, the most involvement in terms of being outplay stuff. They are just a PvE bot with occasionally looking for an ult play. That's it. And that it's not a negative per se. It's just what Garen can do. Basic champions, by the way, have to exist. You know, for every complicated champion you have in League, like a Gangplank or an Azir, you need the opposite to be true as well. I think where, for me personally, where it's not been in the most, let's say, healthy way is years ago. And, you know, I think the game is at an okay balance at the moment, but I think there's just some areas I wish it could be a little bit better. And I personally think one of the biggest areas where it could be a little bit better is basic champions. Oh, Rosed doesn't even use his shadow, just gets the nice kill. That was a really good Rise ultimate. Basic champions like Garen, like Warwick even, I think I've just got a little bit too much. Nice. And this is now where Zed can start doing his job. So again, Diana had all the advantage in the early game. She had all the help. She has a perfect, you know, start with a Garen giving her a free early. Zed didn't give up. He focused on what he can do, achieved some basic things in the early game, got involved, has farmed really well. He's winning in farm, and now he has the strength to 1v1 the Diana. So this is a great example of a game that, you know, it's not over just because, you know, the level 1 doesn't go good. Even in the jungle, when normally, oh, the level 1's gone rough, it's going to be a rough game. But just, I guess, like, sometimes focus up, achieve things that you possibly can, you know, don't set unrealistic expectations. Zed probably wasn't expecting himself to do the most in the early game, and that's the thing, the higher rating you go, the moment that red team saw, oh god, what the hell's the Garen doing, immediately that would put everybody hopefully on red team going, okay, don't expect too much from the Zed. And that's when I would say one of the negatives of lower ranks. Expectations are always high no matter what. Literally default, no matter what. If your top laner is doing really bad in low rating, but they have been basically 2v1'd by the enemy jungler, you'd still expect them to do really well. Hell, in Master, that's probably still true. But in Challenger, and that's where Challenger is different, if you, in a bot lane situation, are noticing, god, their jungler is always there, like 24/7, but that means in bot lane we're having a relatively free time, your expectation would be much less of that top laner in a positive way. So Zed gets another kill. So by the way, this whole play has happened because the Garen is doing some weird roam play again. So they all die, 3 dead, no one dies on red team, perfect play in the end. And it's because the Garen is going for some weird roam play. Now I'll say, I don't know who this player is. I'm actually quite interested to look at their profile because this is bizarre. This type of thing that I imagine some people are watching right now going, this happens in Challenger? Apparently so. And again, it's not making, how do I say it? Like, it's not, and there you go. So bot lane is suddenly doing better because Swain is online. As you said, you just need him to get online and he can suddenly do a lot more. So the lane comes to you when you're playing something like a Swain. Also worth knowing, Nautilus, pretty much perfect lane partner with a Swain. If you're like, really? Yeah. The reason why is because the whole premise of Swain is let me, without sounding bad, let me suck. And if you stay in your demon form and people can't get away from you, you are so strong by default. Nautilus is one of the best, if not the best support. Maybe Rel you could potentially throw in there as well, of I will hold them here. I will hook them back. I will stun them with my passive. I'll ult them so they can't get away. They can't get away from the Swain. So that is where I would say, if you are a Swain bot lane player, do encourage your support to play Nautilus. So Dragon has been taken. I think... God, this Camille's been destroyed. Again, Cassante, even though he's not playing a lot at the moment, he's still giga overpowered. Oh, Trist does get a solo kill. With the kill, that would have been a reset of her jump, but I think she will die. She's just looking for some farming in the end. Oh, Zed does miss his Qs, so again, even challenger players miss their Qs every now and then. But yeah, the Garen play, I would say, is very weird. I think the biggest thing for me is the lack of trying to stop a Ryze. Ryze is a hyper carry, one of the hyper carry late game champs. Obviously, again, PvE Garen. He is literally one of the hyper carries late games. If you give him free farm, it's like a Kassadin. Oh god, he's going to take over and carry. That's the bigger thing that I would say I'm weirded out by the Garen. It's not the level 1 invade. It's not the roam top lane. It's the fact that Garen at no point seems to be wanting to stop a Ryze. And maybe it's too late now, and that's the point. As it probably is too late for a Garen to stop a Ryze. But yeah, it's very weird. Zed going back, probably going to buy his second item. Yep, Black Cleaver. So this variant of the build, you can already tell, obviously. It's not like Yumu's rush and then into, you know, Collector, which would be pure Assassin. The game, as at the moment, is not a pure assassin meta. We're in a bit more of a health meta, as some people may have noticed. So actually buying Eclipse, which is obviously good against higher health opponents, 6% health physical damage. Black Cleaver, which gives him health himself, and also is going to reduce armor with people buying tanky armor items. That's kind of the more meta we're in. And, you know, Zed can use items of this nature. I was going to say, so what that Zed would be looking to do there, if you're like, why didn't he ult straight away? He would have just got ulted, and then he would have got Tristana W'd. Sorry, ulted. So what the Zed was actually trying to do, and he's going to get the kill anyway, so, you know, it's kind of redundant what the Trist did. What he was trying to do is there is a split moment that when Tristana ulted, Zed could have pressed R, and his R would have stuck on the Trist, even if he got ulted away. What the Tristana did well is she timed her ultimate going into the bush, so Zed, for a split second, didn't have vision of her, so he couldn't actually respond to press R. But Zed obviously can just catch back up. So this game, it's a bit of a weird one, because jungle has actually gone incredibly now well for the Zed, even though the early start was rough. Top lane, Camille has been destroyed. You know, so much so that the tier 2 top lane is dead. So bit of an odd game. Obviously, Garen is still useful. He's not weak. But Ryze is very strong. Zed is very strong. Garen should be dead. Is he even dead? Phase Rush proc? No, he's dead in the end. There you go. Very nice. Yeah, very odd game. So they are thinking, yeah, Diana, I guess, is trying to get farm. So again, I don't know. I presume this is an actual G2 player. So again, even though I think Skumond is potentially like rank 1 or rank 2 EUS right now, he's 0-4. Like, it does happen. You can't play perfect in every single solo queue game. It's just not going to happen. Faker feeds occasionally in solo queue. I remember, God, a few years ago, Faker was streaming, and he was on like a 10 or 15 game loss streak. Faker, like the guy. He was on a 10 or 15 game loss streak in solo queue as arguably the best player that League of Legends has ever had and ever will have. So it's okay for you to have bad games, you know? I think that's another thing that I think it's refreshing to show. Because we all set way too high expectations, even for ourselves. You know, I've just finished my recording session today. Today is Friday. I didn't get enough recorded to cover the whole weekend, hence why I'm doing a challenge spectate. Even again, I do think these are good videos, good content. But I set myself high expectations. And when I have a bad game myself, I get really annoyed, you know, with myself. But it's okay to have a rough game. It's okay, you know? And fundamentally, having a high expectation on yourself, especially the higher rating you go, is arguably even more dumb. Because you're against better players every single game too. It's not like the games get easier the higher rating you go. They get harder. Players are better. All right, so the enemy team is now going for this big grouping play. So this could be a bit of a desperation move by the enemy team. You know, they are kind of losing. So what we're going to do is we're going to group 5 and see what we can do. So Swain is doing stuff, big fight happening. Tristan's being bullied away. Swain is still in chicken demon mode. And now this is where the fight is going to just completely turn around. So when you don't initially win that fight, and, you know, if you're going to commit to a team fight against the Swain and you haven't bursted him, you didn't manage to get rid of his, you know, demon mode, eventually there usually is a turn that, oh, you guys now are in trouble. And that's what exactly just happened. So nobody on red team died. 3 people, well, yeah, 3 people I think died eventually. I think the Garen, or maybe the Garen didn't die. No, so 2 people died on blue. And now that should be Atakan. So yeah, this to me has been a pretty good example of a game where early game can be a bit hectic, even in Challenger. You're getting invaded by a Garen at level 1. It's really slowed down your first jungle clear. Diana's invading. Now, it's worth saying, you know, you do sometimes, even as a jungler, you know, it happens in both worlds. The jungler needs the laner's help. Laners need jungle help. The fact that Diana couldn't actually go and steal the blue in the early game actually helped a lot. Now, yes, she did steal the wolves, but because the Swain and Nautilus was like, no, we'll come about. We will stop the Diana just taking it. That did make a big difference. So that is worth knowing. So build-wise for Zed, does go for a Serpent's Fang. I like this for a few reasons. So there's a Lulu in the game, so big shields. Diana also has shields. What I also like by it, completed items you sometimes just cannot beat. They are strong. Serpent's Fang is an incredibly cheap item, so just the fact that he's completed another item over the Diana, it's also, like, in my mind, like a little bit of a mental thing. Like, the Diana will look at the Zed and go, oh my god, he's 3 levels up. He's a whole item above me right now. There will definitely be some type of mental thing going in that Diana going, I'm so far behind. And even though it's a cheap item, there is that, oh, he has another completed item. So yeah, Cassante split pushing. Again, Cassante himself is not known as the best split pusher. And you can see Camille, as the game goes on, Camille will get better and better in terms of this 1v1. That's just the nature of Camille. Ultimates does the Cassante, obviously crazy mobility. And look at his damage. It's just a champion. It's not okay. Yeah, it does die because he's just way too overextended. But again, the one thing I would say as well, Challenger is quite a notorious rank for people giving up. The reason why it's quite a notorious... Oh! Wait. Garen was just sitting in that bush. Genuinely, Garen was just sitting in that bush. This Garen is an odd player. That Zed literally W'd over that Garen, by the way. I was like, wait a minute, there was a blue thing in that bush. Yeah, basically, the higher rating you go, yes, comebacks do happen, but they're rare. And if you're a Challenger player and you have been for years, 1 loss, 1 win doesn't matter. And if it's a bad game, they would rather just get into the next game. It's that simple. Like, it doesn't matter that you lose 1 here or there. They'd rather go, oh, this game's been bad, go next. And, you know, it's not a crazy... Like, some people think it's obviously a toxic mentality. Obviously, AZAP is quite famous for that. But I don't think it is. I think for people, and there's the surrender vote, I think it's a very realistic thing when it's not your job. Like, it's very easy. And again, I like AZAP. He seems a good content creator and a good person. But it's easy for him to have that mentality when he is a streamer and he does do this full time. If you don't, even if you're a high rating, you know, so master player with a full-time job, having a bad game and wanting just to go to next when you only could play 2 or 3 games a day, you can understand it. You know, there's a limited amount of time to play. This game is 99% over. I just want to go into the next game. But when you're streaming for, you know, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, yeah, you can take your time. You know, oh no, maybe we can make this comeback. And then 1 out of 10 games, you make the comeback. You're like, hey, see, we didn't surrender. It's easier to have that mentality, is what I find. Anyway, that's going to be it. Really good game overall by the Zed. I wonder if very quickly, if you bear with me a moment, I will see if I can quickly find that Garen's profile, because I'm just genuinely interested by what he actually plays. Like, is it autofill? Is it like a support main? So, like, if you know, it's the kind of thing that seems either they main that Garen mid, and that wouldn't be a surprise, or they don't play it at all, and they had to just, because they don't play it at all, they had to do something a little bit cheesy to try and, like, you know, be useful. So I found their profile. They are currently the Garen is currently Grandmaster, nearly 2,000 games played, but obviously they're on the cusp of Challenger, so a very good rated player. They are a Garen main. Yeah, that's what they main. Oh. So Garen is their most played champion at 776 games. Then Lux with 261. Then Viego 121. And then Scion 58. Severe 56. Malphite 43. And then Twisted Fate 42. I bet that was Twisted Fate top lane as well when it was meta a while ago. And by the look of it, Viego's for jungle. He mostly plays Garen mid. It's not Garen top. It is mostly Garen mid. Yeah, no, it's Garen mid. Very occasional top lane game. Weird. So yeah, that's what he did. As I said, it wouldn't shock me if he mained it, but it also wouldn't have shocked me if they had never played it ever before. And it's worth knowing. So again, he's a very good player, challenger player, odd, etc., etc. Summoner level of his account is 2,551. That is one of the highest summoner levels I think I've ever seen. Wow. So again, if people like him can get the challenger doing weird things like Garen mid and invading at level 1, you can do it. Sometimes you just got to focus up and do something you need to find your thing. And that can be a role, that can be a set of champions, that could be something like that. But you can find it. That's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.
Welcome to the Rift, where the legends play. It's Aussie games bringing skill every day. From tips to tricks and play so fine. You'll learn the game and have a good time. Thanks for watching, you're the real MVP. Hit that like and sub, join the family tree. Like, comment, and subscribe. Keep the Aussie dream alive.